Hello, everyone. So, we're going to go more into the microbiome. And I was thinking about how I'm going to make this first video, what I'm going to get into, where to start, and to get into. And I figured, let me think about what's the best way to apply this information into our life as, as effective as possible. Um, and if I to go into more detail, um, I can make more videos explaining the deeper layers behind it. But what wisdom can I extract? What information right now can we take to apply into our life? And so what I did is kind of boiled down the information and made a grocery list to what we can add directly into um, our our diet, our food routine, without taking anything else out or doing anything different. If we just add these foods into our diet, our weekly diet, if we have some of this throughout our week, our whole microbiome will start to improve and get better. And if you don't eat these foods on a regular basis, just have a little bit, um, not a lot, because you want to build up that microbiome and develop it. Otherwise, it's going to get very gassy and it's not going to be pretty. So just start off a little bit and see where you can increase these foods into the diet. Essentially, I'm going to go over this grocery list and then I'm going to go into a little bit about how these foods benefit um, our body and what they provide. Just a little bit because there's a lot of different things that um, we'll get into in further videos. Again, this is for myself. This information is really just to also document. So I have a video reference about the information I'm gathering, and also to anyone who this benefits. If you really want to know, see a doctor, a professional. I'm exploring this information as I go and documenting this as I go. So for this grocery list, we have quite a few different things, but we want to add lentils, green and red, white beans, chickpeas, barley, quinoa, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, uh, sunchokes or sun roots, onions, garlic, leeks, carrots, celery, kale, spinach, red cabbage, mushrooms, salmon, chicken breast, bone or vegetable broth, olive oil or extra virgin olive oil, ghee, turmeric, ginger, cumin, thyme, rosemary, parsley, and lemon. Now, I'm going to go into these because essentially what we are going to benefit from is the primary fiber type. Now, as I commonly knew about fiber growing up, is that it helps our stool, right? It makes it everything easier to process. Fiber feeds the microbiome. That's what they eat, and the stool that comes out is um, like the dead microbiome. It's not waste. Everything we eat turns into our body, and it rapidly accelerates the growth and development of the microbes. And so what comes out is kind of like all the dead microbes. And so we could get into more of that in another thing, but essentially, to have a healthy gut biome, we need to have fiber to feed them. The microbial effects and the fermentation behavior. And I'm just going to mention on these things. I'm not going to get into, the signaling of the microbes, Um, you know, and some of these I'm not going to be able. I'm going to struggle saying. Like one of them is Faecalibacterium para Roseburia. So, but I'm not going to get into all the effects. I'll save those for other videos. I'm just going to touch about a little information here to say that this list is covering the grounds we need just to add into our diet, and in what ways that is going to benefit, and those ways we can branch into other videos perhaps later on. Short chain fatty acid impact, the inflammation barrier effect, maybe some practical notes, and I might touch a little bit again on how I believe Ayurveda philosophy and dieting is rooted in this information. I really do believe that, even though I haven't come across anything suggesting this. I think that we'll find a lot of benefits to that, depending on how well this is put together. And I'll get into that later on as well. So we have lentils, and the fiber it really produces resistant starch, insoluble fiber, and also some other soluble fibers. Soluble is usually, I believe, I double check, but I think it's more about what is stored in water or stored in fat. But again, that might be a little different here, but I'll get more into that in other videos. The microbial effect. This one feeds the Faecalibacterium parasitidity, the Roseburia. Again, in future videos, I'll get into which each microbe does, how it benefits the body, what signals it tells the body to respond to, and other butyrate producers. So this is really more for the short chain fatty acid it produces is butyrate. And we could get more into the impact that short chain fatty acids has in other videos as well. This is just kind of categorizing everything. The fermentation behavior is moderate speed. Red lentils is slightly faster than green. The barrier effect supports tight junction integrity, short chain fatty acids. White beans, we have also resistant starch and soluble fiber. The microbial effect is it increases butyrate production and supports cross-feeding networks. And I don't know if you remember from briefly touched about in the previous video, I know it was really more of a brainstorm. Cross-feeding is when one microbe eats a fiber and produces a short-chain fatty acid that will feed a different microbe and produce another short-chain fatty acid. And we need the short-chain fatty acids for our benefits of our body, but it also benefits the other microbes. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And the fermentation is moderate to slow. Short-chain fatty acid here is a strong acetate plus butyrate conversation. So the acetate is the production, and the other microbes that eat acetate produce butyrate. So this is why white beans are, good in that sense. Improves the barrier, improves mucosal stability. Then we have chickpeas. The fiber type is resistant starch, galactico, oligosaccharides, or GOS. And the microbial effect is feed the Bifidobacteria, supports short-chain fatty acid production. The fermentation can be gas-producing if introduced too quickly. So when it comes to chickpeas, believe it or not, if you haven't eaten them often, a little less is more ideal, and then work your way up. Barley fiber type is a beta-glucans. This is very important. And again, I may go into these more, maybe each one of these categories I'm thinking I might make its own video with. But for right now, just adding this into our diet is going to benefit we don't have to take nothing out, we don't have to change anything, just add this to your diet and your body will start to feel and get the benefits and see a doctor. Um, so microbial effect for barley supports the immune modulating bacteria and improves cholesterol metabolism. The short chain fatty acid here is strong propionate production and some butyrate. The barrier improves gut lining via soluble gel formation. Then we have quinoa. The fiber type is a moderate fiber, not as fermentable as legumes. The microbial effect here is a gentle support, not heavy fermenter. The short chain fatty acid is a mild contribution. And we have sweet potatoes as a soluble fiber and some resistant starch when cooled, which is interesting there. The microbial effect is a gentle fermentation and feeds broad microbial base. Short chain fatty acid here is a moderate butyrate support, and the barrier is good for mucosal repair. And regular potatoes, particularly cooled, fiber type is resistant starch, RS3 when cooled. We'll get into that in other videos as well. The microbial effect here is strong butyrate stimulation, and the short chain fatty acid is a high butyrate potential. And the barrier helps maintain colon hypoxia balance. Sunchokes. The fiber type is inulin, and not to be confused with insulin. It's a very close in spelling. It's inulin, and this makes it. This one in particular is very fermentable, and so really good for all your gut bacteria. Really allows it to flourish, thrive, and develop. This is definitely something you want to add in developing your gut bacteria, or sunchokes and or sun roots, how you want to look at it. Microbial effect is a strong Bifidobacteria stimulation. The fermentation is fast and gas producing if microbiome is unadapted. So to start, you want to add a little bit into your diet, very little, and ideally you cook this with like butter or ghee, and it's going to produce a lot of butyrate, and it's going to go more into the it's going to bypass your stomach, your gut, and it's not going to start to be eaten until the very the lowest area of oxygen, which is when the colon starts. That's when it's going to start to break this all down. And well, again, we'll get into that, but very little bit at a time. So short chain fatty acids is an indirect butyrate support via cross feeding. And onion, garlic, leeks, a fiber type, again, an inulin plus FOS. The microbial effect is feed the Bifidobacteria. The short chain fatty acids support acetate production, which of course then goes into cross feeding into butyrate. The fermentation here is very rapid. It's something that garlic, onions, and leeks are not too ideal to have raw. Good to cook those really well, but that's in a different topic. Carrots. The fiber type is pectin with mild soluble fiber. Microbial effect here is gentle fermentation and supports a support barrier. Then we have kale and spinach. Is a fiber type of insoluble fiber plus polyphenols. That's another whole category which would be really good to get into. Microbial effect here is increased diversity, provide polyphenol signaling. The short chain fatty acid is an indirect support. And red cabbage has a fiber type that's insoluble and soluble with anthocyanins. It's a type of polyphenol. The microbial effect here is increased diversity and supports Akkermansia indirectly. Probably didn't say that one right. The anti-inflammatory is a strong polyphenol content. Then we have mushrooms, particularly for the beta-glucans. Microbial effect is immune modulation and prebiotic effect. And there's a difference between prebiotic, probiotic, and there's a third one, postbiotic. I got to double check the third one. And short chain fatty acid is moderate support. Salmon has no prebiotic, but it has omega-3, which helps reduce inflammation, and we want to keep inflammation in the body as minimum as possible. Improves barrier integrity and balances immune tone. The chicken breast is a similar, protein source. Ideal meat to pair with fiber, and increases proteolytic fermentation. Then we have bone broth, which provides glycine, collagen, which are more essential amino acids, and minerals. Those are other categories in itself, all separate videos. They support gut lining integrity indirectly, and it's not a microbiome feeder, and it doesn't support, it's not a prebiotic. Olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, slows the fermentation speed, contains polyphenols, and improves microbial diversity. We have ghee, slows digestion, supports fat-soluble nutrients absorption, and contains small butyrate amounts. Then we have turmeric, another really great anti-inflammatory, modulates NF-κB, and influences microbial composition, and something also good to cook with fats or ghee. Ginger improves motility, reduces gas, and supports enzyme secretion. Then we have cumin, digestive enzyme stimulation, reduces bloating, and may influence microbial balance. Then we have thyme and rosemary, it's very rich in polyphenols, mild antimicrobial modulation, and improves diversity indirectly. Parsley, another contributor to polyphenols, mild carminative, and helps with breath support. There's a lot of aspects of the microbiome that affects breath. Maybe that's something for another video as well. Lemon, a mild acid stimulation, improves digestive signaling, and provides polyphenols. Overall, we want resistant starch, inulin, beta-glucans, polyphenols, anti-inflammatory fats, moderate protein, digestive spices, and just by adding these into your diet, you're going to start getting a lot of benefits throughout the body. Now, there are things that with the with Ayurveda philosophy and dieting that seemed a little far-fetched. Um, when I looked into it, like a sweet potato, it shouldn't be had between 6 and 10, whether it's in the morning or at night. And it's like that's kind of, to me, sounds a little odd. What does it matter what time I eat a sweet potato? But particularly the idea and the philosophy there is that there are different energies throughout the day in our environment, and we want to eat food that supports the changing time periods of the day. And why do I think that this is something that might contribute to that? Is because when I look at what, like, say, for example, 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, whether at night or in the day, these are very big, I mean, depending on the time of year, but these are big chemical changes in the body. When we first wake up in the morning, cortisol starts to pump into our blood. It wakes us up, it gets us proactive, it gets us logically thinking and assertive about what we want to get done in the day. And then as noon peaks, we're at a different energy, which is, I believe, Vita, or Pitta, Kapha, Pitta. Well, again, researching this, but we have different time periods of the day. And then, of course, as the sun starts to set, we have the cortisol levels start to drop. We start to feel more. We start to get more into laid back and into our emotions, and our way of logically thinking about things changes. So we have environmental factors that we see through light therapy that changes our chemical state throughout the day. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are certain foods that we eat that can help go with the chemical changes in our environment that we're experiencing. And then that would also mean there might be foods that counteract those chemical changes throughout our day. And so, in understanding this, maybe a sweet potato during that change is going to create chemical shifts that isn't so ideal during that time period. This is the deep philosophy, like this is where I feel like the cross-referencing of these systems of thought and applying in our diet, like there's nothing in the microbiome that's going to suggest that you can't eat a sweet potato at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, like there's nothing that suggests that, but we have the system of thought that's very old that suggests otherwise. And instead of going into a chemical understanding of this, they have it in a relation to an environmental basis, and they call them different energies. And I think that the understanding this information first can become a really great basis into understanding that. And I could be completely wrong about all this. It's really something that I think fits together. And learning about this is the only way I'm going to find out if there's any relation there. So either way, aside from all of that, going into future videos, I may look to create recipes, like a 7-day recipe, to include all these ingredients in there and maybe make them. I don't know. Or I might go more into the terminology of the and the process in which these the production in which these ingredients and these foods are going to produce in our body. So if you are interested in this information and you're curious about where, if you have any questions or directions I could go further in next, let me know, make a comment, subscribe. I'll be sure to add those into the next videos next. Otherwise, I'll see what I'll do from here. And essentially that's maybe I'll put a PDF in the description about the grocery list if that's beneficial. Thank you. Till next time.